Hi, everybody. My name is Sandy Boucher, and welcome back to my world. Now, my world might look a little bit different today because I'm actually shooting this video from my loft office. My living room is in the middle of renovations. I've had workmen here all week, and it's a disaster area. I could have attempted to shoot a video down there, but I would have been covered in drywall dust and you would have had an amazing view of some scaffolding. So I decided for this time, I'll come up to the office, even though it's Sunday and I don't usually come to the office on Sunday. But that's good because today's video is a topic that I think is so worth talking about, even on a Sunday. And I believe it's a topic that we haven't been discussing enough, and people are getting hurt or getting lost in the noise because of it. So I want to touch on three very key things today. I want to talk about privilege for a moment, just to make sure we're all on the right page. I'm not going to beat that to death or anything. Then I want to talk about a group that we just don't discuss often enough. And that is the white poor. And I'm going to expand on that in a minute. And then I'm going to end this off by referring to people like President Trump and Doug Ford in Toronto. So, okay, so let's start out. First and foremost, I want to talk about privilege. And when I explain privilege to people, hi Kaz, hi Tom, thanks for checking it out. When I talk about privilege with people, I always use Megan Berman's blog post, her idea of using a classroom. So if you picture for a second, everyone sitting in a classroom, some are going to be in the front row. Hi, Christine. If some of the people are going to be sitting in the front of the classroom, some in the middle, some in the back. If, as a teacher, I walk into that room and I put the waste paper basket on my desk and inform the class that the assignment for today is to take a piece of paper, ball it up, and throw it into that waste basket. Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that the people in the front row are going to have a way easier time of that compared to the people in the middle or in the back row. So that's privilege. We don't choose who our parents are. We make a living in the home, in the city or town that they chose to live in, or maybe our grandparents chose to live in. We go to the schools that that area provides. That wasn't a choice. But what people are starting to understand is based on that privilege of wherever we were born, you may or may not have advantages. Now, people born in an affluent family in a big city are going to be surrounded by people that are highly educated, that might help them prepare to also have a higher education. You're going to have supports like a local library. You're going to have a hospital nearby. You might have guides and mentors. That's the kind of privilege I'm talking about. But if you're raised in a northern indigenous community, you don't have health support services. You don't have clean running water going into your home. You don't have mental health supports. You have very limited access to education. To attend high school, you have to leave home and go live with strangers. It is possible to do it, but it's not going to be as easy as attending the high school that's 2 streets away and you get to come home to your family every night. So that's the idea of privilege. And I really don't want to beat that to death. What I want to point out is we talk about the people in the very front row and we talk about the very people in the very back rows. But there's this group, the white poor. So technically they're not as disadvantaged as people in northern communities or marginalized or racialized people, but they are the ones that are struggling to get by. Maybe they're fairer of skin, but they're the ones that They're the men that can't get a job because there's an affirmative action program in place. They see all of these supports for Indigenous people or marginalized people, but no supports for them because they have a fair complexion. Now, I am not saying that these people don't have privilege. What I am saying is these people are frustrated. These people are just trying to feed their families, and these are the people that are now rallying and electing people like President Trump, or we're starting to see support for Doug Ford. Now, as an Indigenous person, obviously I want things to change. We need to level the playing field. I just don't want to have more privilege at the expense of someone else. I think that's an attitude of scarcity, as if there isn't enough to go around, and there absolutely is. I don't want another family impoverished so I can do better. I don't want another group of people oppressed so that Indigenous people are no longer oppressed. I don't believe that's the answer. But that is what's happening. We need corporations and business owners to change their policies and processes so that they serve a diverse population and they have diverse staff, and those doors are open to everyone. But we can't exclude any group, even the ones who have inherited privilege. Now, that's a dangerous mindset, one that really isn't discussed, but it needs to be part of the conversation. As I said, I don't want to trample on anyone else to be treated fairly. I just want to be treated fairly. Now, for those poor white people, I do want to highlight one privilege to show you why this is so frustrating for the marginalized or racialized people. If you are a poor white person, excuse the label, and I put you in a really expensive suit and send you off to a restaurant and there's a fancy car sitting in the parking lot, there is a really good chance when you walk into that restaurant, people will assume, if you have the attitude that goes with the suit, and the vocabulary that goes with the suit, there's people that are going to automatically assume you're just a successful businessman or woman, and the day is going to go on. You have the opportunity to break past your barriers. I'm not saying it'll be easy, but the opportunity is there. However, if a Black man was dressed up in an expensive suit and sent into that same restaurant with that expensive car in the parking lot, there are people that are going to assume that he achieved this level through possibly even illegal means. He can't change the shade of his skin. And sadly, if I do that with an Indigenous person, and I'm talking about someone that's more stereotypical Indigenous, darker skin than me, walks into that scenario, they're probably going to assume the government paid for it. That's privilege. That's the barriers that we can't get past, and that's where the difference comes in. Again, I don't want anyone disadvantaged so that another has an equal opportunity. We have to take care of everyone. Excluding one person for the benefit of the other isn't going to work, even if the person benefiting is now a marginalized or racialized person. It's a tough conversation, and it's a conversation we're going to have to keep having as we work through this learning curve, as we find our way down the path. To find out more about The Path, which is my upcoming book and my upcoming public event, please check out my website, www.sandyboucher.com. During that event, we're going to be having these conversations because it's time. I hope you have a most amazing day. I hope this video helped clear up a little bit of the fog, and I'll see you next Sunday. Talk to you soon. I love you. Bye-bye.